Hello again. The Institutional Labour Caucus at Tembisa Hospital in Ekurhuleni is requesting that the hospital CEO suspension be put on hold until the Premier of the province, David Makhura, has met with them. They are accusing the Gauteng Health Department of not taking what's happening in Tembisa Hospital seriously. The Institutional Labour Caucus says everyone has had something to say about issues at the hospital, but no one is willing to listen to them. The caucus says they've lost confidence in the Gauteng Health Department. They're now asking for the Premier's office to intervene. Well, for this discussion now, I'm joined by Kanza Stephens from the Institutional Labour Caucus at Tembisa Hospital. Also joining the conversation is the DA's MPL here in Gauteng, Jack Bloom. And with me in studio, I have Outers Ali Gule. They say they're going to be staging a protest tomorrow, on Wednesday, the 31st of August, calling for the removal of the Tembisa CEO. Divergent views indeed. Can I begin with you, Mr. Bloom, from the DA? You say you're going to be asking some tough questions to the Health MEC of Gauteng. What are you going to be asking?
Well, it's a question on the order paper for oral reply at the Gauteng Legislature sitting tomorrow, and I'm asking the MEC for help, whether Babita Diakaran had asked for an investigation of any senior official of the Gauteng Health Department and what their response was. And of course, I'm particularly wanting to hear whether the Chief Financial Officer refused an investigation of Tembisa Hospital, as was requested by the late Babita Diakaran. And I'm going to follow it up with the MEC's own role in this. You know, the investigation that's been done by News 24 has certainly shaken things up, and that's why we've got the suspension of the hospital CEO and the department's CFO. But none of this would have happened if it wasn't for a private investigation. What I want to know is why there wasn't a proper forensic investigation of Tembisa Hospital payments a year ago. Surely this should have been done immediately after Babita Diakaran was murdered. I really think that there's been too much delay, and the MEC for Health needs to be accountable for it.
We'll get to that accountability shortly. Let me bring in Kansas Stephens from that Institutional Labour Caucus at Tembisa Hospital. It's got the likes of Dinosa, Hospesa, NUPSA, NEHAU, and PSA as part of it at the hospital. Mr. Stephens, you are saying in your letter that you've written just a few days ago as a collective leadership of the trade unions in the hospital that you are concerned, you are writing to David Makhura, that his administration seems overzealous to please the DA. What do you mean by that?
Thanks, Benny, for giving us an opportunity and also to give us this platform. With me here, I'm sitting with the chairperson of Dinosa so that we can both give some perspective on this matter. The only political party which has showed interest in the matters at Tembisa Hospital was DA. So it's against that background wherein we discovered that DA is very overzealous on this matter. Because I think that they've gained interest in what is happening at Tembisa Hospital, because on the report that they have referred us to of Jokoran, there are a number of facilities there, close to 10, including the head office, and nothing is being said or being done around that. It's against that background wherein we're saying that the DA is overzealous. You cannot come and make protests around an institution and you only march outside of the facility. You don't get inside and look what has been happening from the day you were here and also engage the leadership around those matters. And that is why we feel strongly as the organized labor that we've been put in the periphery on these issues. Everyone has everything to say about the institution, but nothing is being said around us. We're not even invited to engage anyone. Last week, a week before last week, on the 9th, we wrote a letter to both the office of the HOD and the MEC. They were requesting their audience to our meeting. They couldn't come. They sent an apology on Monday, and we gave them another time up until Friday so that they can come and engage us. We sent a letter Friday afternoon so that when we requested, because we lost confidence in the office of the HOD and the MEC. So it was against that background where we took the matter to the office of the Premier. And then the office of the Premier has not yet responded to our request. We still want to engage. We are frustrated that immediately when the office of the Premier, when they received our letter.
Hold on, I need to come in So we don't have a lot of time. I understand the context that you are painting, but you in your letter are also saying that there's unbelievable work done by the CEO. That might be so, but the case in point is around a corruption case. And on Wednesday, OUTA is going to be demonstrating outside your hospital. I've got Ali Gule here. Why are you deciding to demonstrate outside Tembisa Hospital? You're hearing Mr. Stefan says nobody's engaging with the labor unions.
Look, Praten, I can safely also speak on behalf of Babita's family. We are excited about and receive the good news that the CEO has been suspended and an official in the health department has been suspended, although it comes too little too late for the family who lost someone. But remember, we have, I just want to be, just to bring it keep it short, we have not discovered, the law enforcement agencies have not discovered who's behind, who paid the hitman. Babita, before she was killed, she red flagged a lot of shenanigans at Tembisa Hospital and with a top official at the health department. So I think it's emanating from there that the Gauteng department has eventually suspended the CEO. And from our perspective, there is nothing wrong with that. But we want eventually the CEO must account for everything that happened at that facility.
Mr. Bloom, you seem to be of the same mind, but just a response to Mr. Stephens that the DA spends its time over zealousness outside, not engaging with the workers in terms of the unions that are represented there. How do you respond to that?
Well, I'm not going to apologize for fighting corruption. The evidence is very severe. And in this sort of situation, you need to suspend prominent people who are implicated in it. I think that's a natural thing to do. So I really want to ask why the unions seem to be protecting the CEO. Don't they have the patients' interests at heart? Because it seems there was massive, wasted spending. I'd like to ask them what happened to these 100 chairs, leather chairs, at 5,000 Rand each. What are they doing at the hospital? They ended up spending 230 Rand on a face towel. Surely the union should have the interests of the patients at heart, and I think it's long overdue that the hospital CEO was suspended. There will need to be obviously a disciplinary process, and we await the outcome of that.
Mr. Stephens, I mean, really, when you look at the accusations against the CEO, the man that you are protecting currently, you say they must leave him alone. You don't want the DA to be involved here, and you writing to the local government. I mean, the accusations are serious. I mean, 850 million rands of payments, fishy companies for overpriced goods, 500,000 Rand for 100 leather armchairs, face cloths at 230 Rand each, 200 skinny jeans for young girls, I mean, at 2,500 each. It really boggles the mind. Why would the hospital be buying these things? Why are you defending the CEO, Mr. Stephens?
Thanks for that. I thought maybe the guys from your production team will also give you the documents that you've sent them prior to this meeting, this interview, so that we can give perspective around these issues. Number one, the issue of skinny jeans has been answered by the CEO last week when he was interviewed by 702. That there was an administrative error which occurred after he has signed that, but there are no skinny jeans which were being bought by the institution. And our support shouldn't be misconstrued as a support that we are giving or providing to an individual, but a precedent which is being set now by the department. The department can take an action around issues. A department relies in the office of the Premier to do this. It's happening for the second time. Dr. Mthunzi's predecessor, the same thing happened. We are managing the department through media now. That is what is happening. Those people are not coming down here and engage. In fact, take decisions and bring the CEO into question. Chief, these are the accusations. What are you saying? Nothing. Nothing. There has never been an interview around that. And you must remember that there's millions you are referring to. We work here on accruals. What it means that when we enter in the financial year, because we had a meeting with our finance manager so that he can bring us into confidence what is exactly happening. And he presented the budget. Close to 790 million has been paid to accruals. And you cannot come today and say how much money was in the, because we cannot afford not to render the services which are expected.
But Mr. Stephens, but because of what you are saying, you must accept there must be an investigation, and that investigation for it to happen, but for it to happen properly, you must accept that the man who's being accused have to be outside so that the investigators can work freely.
I think when you are painting, they are painting a wrong picture around the men, and then it's their own employee. As an employer, man, you have an obligation and a responsibility to bring someone that that person is reporting to you. Say, Chief, these are the things which are leveled against you. So this is what is going to. This is what is the best interest of the institution or of the department.
Mr. Stephens, you are not against the probe, but you think that he needs to be given a fair chance. That's what I'm hearing. But it comes across as if you are defending the indefensible. Outer Ali Gule, you're going to be outside there on Wednesday. What do you want to see happening at Tembisa Hospital?
The protest now is no longer at Tembisa Hospital. It has been moved to Department of Health in Gauteng at Commissioner Street at 10 o'clock. So that at least we're hitting two birds with one stone, because initially it was meant for Tembisa and subsequently at Department of Health. Now we're doing one protest. Anyone who's opposed to corruption in general can join us at 10 a.m. just generally to fight all the corruption that has been happening at Department of Health. Remember, this department has been in the news for all the wrong reasons.
The Gauteng Health Department.
Gauteng Department of Health has been in the news for the wrong reasons. So, but in this instance, we're focusing on the things that we've just mentioned that are happening there. And some of these service providers, which you have not mentioned, but then they're not even in the business of health.
But they benefited, allegedly, from the Tembisa thing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the investigation will have to clarify. Thank you very much for that. We've run out of time, unfortunately. Thank you, Kansas Stephens, from the Institutional Labour Caucus at the Tembisa Hospital. Outers Ali Gule here in the studio with me, as well as Jack Bloom from the Democratic Alliance.